Welcome to the McCombs Wellness Collective podcast, where we aim to improve overall health and wellness of the UT McCombs MBA community through promoting healthy habits and sharing personal wellness stories. Many stressors can emerge during an MBA, and we hope that this podcast will help you prioritize your health during your time at McCombs and onward through the rest of your life. All right, welcome back to the Wellness Collective at McCombs podcast. I'm here with Todd Thurston and Dylan Bester, cohort 2, second to none.
Second to none, man. Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, so happy that you agreed to do this. I want to learn more about the classmates and share the stories. We are in the same cohort, so I know you better than a lot of other people, but I just want to start off by sharing your story. Why did you choose to come here to McCombs to get your MBA?
Yeah. That's a very layered question. I feel like everybody has 10 reasons why they came to get an MBA. But mine primarily starts with just wanting a change of career, a little change of industry as well. I was doing analytics for a capital lending firm in the auto finance industry. And although I did pretty well and enjoyed my coworkers and enjoyed the people I got to work under, I just decided I wanted to change into something else that I could see myself in longer term, particularly as I look to start a family with my wife. And so, that kind of brought me into a whirlwind of decisions on where to go. And I ended up deciding on McCombs in Texas because my wife is from Texas. So staying close to family and building a network here long term is just what makes the most sense. And then there were just another host of bonuses that came with McCombs, of it being a school that is very diverse with a really good tech department or tech and IT school and faculty, really good like medical department, really good science behind it, and tied to that really good business. So I felt like I could come here and learn from a bunch of very unique and different people who have very diverse skill sets, and that would just bolster me even further.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on your wife's from Texas. You wanted to switch kind of industries. You didn't mention where you're from originally, because that's one of the, you talked about the diversity. I've never met anyone from South Africa.
Yeah.
So how did that transition go from growing up as a kid in South Africa to eventually coming here to the States?
Yeah, good question. I grew up fairly westernized, I would say, in South Africa, with a lot of exposure to US pop culture, very exposed to, especially just with a globalized world now, with social media, with movies, all of that stuff. I really felt like I understood this place decently, but when I came here, it felt like I was in a movie. And there are little nuances that are different, the accents that you expect to come out of different people, or just the way that you approach a conversation. South Africa, just a great example. I'm sure anyone from Latin America will understand this. South Africans are very physically affectionate. And so it's like, if you walk into a group of people, you're going to handshake and hug every person in the circle before you join in. And I tried to do that here, and people were not about it for a little bit. I think people are more accepting now. But so it was just navigating some of those nuances at the beginning. But I've really enjoyed the US. I've been here 8 years now. I've lost a lot of my accent. And it's good to call this place my home.
Oh, the accent's still there. But when did you come to the States? Was it during school, or was it after you graduated and more for work?
Yeah, I actually came here in 2016, and it was right after high school. So I came for my undergraduate. I was supposed to come to the U.S. as part of a gap year and only spend about 6 months in the U.S. before I went to Israel to work on a kibbutz, which is a chicken farm.
Wow.
So I was going to do that as kind of part of my discover the world and find myself experience. But many, many factors just fell into place for me to decide this was better for me to stay here in the US and stay at the school that I did a semester abroad experience with. And the very next semester I met Brooke, and the rest is history. That's
awesome. And so with the Wellness Collective, we want to hear your thoughts on your journey of like health and wellness. What have you seen? Like, when has that been important to you, or when did you kind of notice that as something you want to focus on for part of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Another layered question, and I'd love to dig into this more with you guys as well. I think wellness is something that has always been a part of my life, but in very various different factors. So I kind of break who a human being is into a few different parts. I think most do. Body, mind, and soul. And just using all three of those in harmony to like find the areas of wellness that I can heighten and make myself a better person. It's always been something that's really interesting. Not only to live life abundantly, but also just to kind of impact others as well, to live abundantly too. And so when I noticed wellness really coming into my life, I was in high school. Long different parts of my story, but I really started coming a little bit into my own and realizing who I was. And I think there's a keen self-awareness that brought those three worlds together for me. Every high school student loves sports and athletics and all of those things, so I was already kind of focused on that. But leaning into what I wanted to do more intellectually and leaning into more who I wanted to be spiritually was really important for me as a person to understanding my wellness journey. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I am the icon of what wellness needs to look like. I'm definitely learning and gaining a lot and taking different steps year by year. But the more that I learn these different things, the more that I see it encompasses a lot of who we are as a person. And it goes far beyond just physical exercise, like I think a lot of people believe wellness is.
Yeah, I think, Todd, you said the same thing last week. You said mind, body, spirit. Is that how you put it?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've been having the pleasure of getting to know you, Dylan, over the past couple of months. And I remember I met you in the hallway, and someone had introduced me, and I had recognized the South African accent. And then it was just a brief meeting, but I think you messaged me the day, maybe then the next day, and you were talking about just like contemplating life. And then I found out really quickly that you had a strong emphasis on your faith, and that's something that I think, as to Mike was saying in the last week's episode, that's something that's driven me. How could you kind of talk to us about how faith has played a really important aspect of your life and keeping the wellness being a part of that?
Yeah, wow. Diving straight in. So my story really kind of begins in school, where I think lots of kids go through this stage in life of just trying to find out who they are and where they fit into the world. Maybe feeling like they were part of a friend group that wasn't very helpful to them, feeling like the odd sheep in a friend group, the black sheep in a group, or maybe just kind of feeling like their parents didn't care about them, all sorts of things that we feel as we go through life. And mine was that I felt really just isolated and kind of bullied by a lot of the friends that I had growing up. And so being a pretty sensitive person, I took a lot of that pretty personally and was feeling pretty lost, very, very downcast on myself. Something in self-awareness, something in self-awareness is I've just realized that I'm a person that likes to be liked by people. And when I feel like that's not happening, I can get pretty down on myself. So working on that more as life goes on, but especially as a kid, I didn't realize that. And so when I felt that way, I would be my own worst critic. I would attack myself. And when I was 14, I just had this kind of, people call it a come to Jesus moment. Mine was literally a come to Jesus moment of stepping into faith. And I had grown up in a Christian household that was a little bit divided, with parents that were of different denominations and backgrounds. But when I got to 14 years old, I hit this crux in the road of, I'm either going to start taking this seriously, or I just need to completely abandon it. And so before I choose to abandon it, let me just dig a little deeper and figure out, what this is all about. And the more I started stepping into my faith, and the more I started reading scriptures or, stepping into prayer, the more I realized I want to know God. I want to know my creator. I want to know the one who says he cares about me. If there is a God that does love, why wouldn't I want to know him? And so in stepping into that, I kind of found a lot of my identity. I was very withdrawn, very closed off. And as I came into a relationship with God, I became this really talkative person that liked to get to know everybody and tried to enter relationships judgment-free. Became pretty gregarious, had this big smile on my face all the time. And I just think that I really stepped into a true identity of who I am. And that ability to know, like, I'm cared about, I'm loved, and I have a purpose has really allowed me to stand on my own 2 feet in other areas of wellness as well. So even though, for example, here in the MBA, I'm sure a lot of students feel this way, I don't know what I want to do next. I don't know where I want to go next. And that's been quite a challenge, especially watching other people who are so driven towards a specific goal. I know that I have my 2 feet in, like, I care about God and God cares about me. And so the wellness aspect comes in with just a mental well-being first and a spiritual well-being first, of being grounded in something that is important to you and that's the center of who you are. So yeah, other things have poured out from that. Like you said, mind, body, and spirit. Everything else started to align more into, rather than 3 separate pieces, 3 conjoining parts. And I started thinking of my body as more of a temple and wanting to take care of it a little bit better than I had. Doesn't mean I don't love some good ice cream or some good street tacos or anything like that. But absolutely, yeah. It's Austin. And then for mind, if there are truths about the world, I want to go and discover them. And I want to be a part of learning those truths. And I want to be a part of figuring out peace about myself as well. And so that's where mind comes in too. So yeah, I hope that makes some kind of sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And just, I mean, I've only known you for a few months, but our interactions, I definitely get a sense that you have a really good sense of life. And you touched on it earlier. You said you want to live life abundantly.
Yeah.
And I've never heard that before. And what exactly do you mean by that? Live life abundantly?
Yeah. So that comes from one of the verses in scripture when Jesus says, I've come to give you life and life abundantly. And when I see life abundant, what I think of it as is harmony with God and harmony with others. It's a vertical and then a horizontal. And so when I think of life abundantly, it is being rooted as a person in who I'm supposed to be, having a solid relationship with my Father in heaven, and then through that, maintaining peace with other people around me. I think looking for commonalities, common ground, and building relationships, choosing to see the best in people is life abundant, because it's so easy to look at someone and choose judgment. It's so easy to look at someone and choose to talk about them behind their back. But I think life abundant comes from living in truth and living in peace and living in harmony with others. And so that's another aspect of wellness. You can live in harmony within yourself of mind, body, spirit, but we really need to be external creatures. When I was feeling isolated as a high school kid, that was one of the worst feelings of my life. But feeling like I'm part of a greater community is one of the best parts of living life.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. I love the live life abundantly. That's the first time I've heard that. So I'm gonna keep that noted. Yeah. That's a good one. What are some of those wellness techniques you talked about? Being connected with your spirit, your mind, learning, trying to keep a healthy body. Is there any resources or reminders that you kind of go to keep you staying on the path?
Yeah, great question as well. I think one of my cores for wellness on a mental and a spiritual plane is prayer. And some people can consider it like meditation as well, or just an ability to sit in solitude and silence and take some moments to collect yourself. For me, it's a conversation with God. For somebody else, it could be like really a moment of gathering themselves in a tough and tumultuous situation. But every single day, taking those few minutes out to just be still, I think is crucial, because it calms my mind while there's so many other things going on in this program, while there's so many other things going on in life. Just taking those seconds to be still is huge. Other checks that I have are my eating. I think the first semester I realized that going out and exploring Austin was great, and I had a lovely time with that, but it didn't lead me to feel good and have the energy to be the type of interactive person that I want to be. Many times I found myself falling short on energy during the day. Many times I found myself falling short on energy in the evening when I needed to do homework. And so I've been on this new journey to figure out what nutrition benefits me the most to having the best energy. And so I've been counting some macros. I've been telling Todd about this the last month, and it's tough. There are a lot of times where I'm really hungry, but I've been surprised by how much energy I have. And so really going on this cleanse and reminding myself how good healthy eating is for me is fantastic. And weirdly, another thing that's been huge in my wellness is getting a dog. A dog and having to take care of that little guy and take him out has given me so much structure to my day that I didn't have before, because having to care for something outside of myself. So my wife and I will do 2 walks with him a day. Sometimes I do the 2 myself, and we do up to 4 miles. And just those moments of getting fresh air outside in the world instead of in a building or in a room behind closed doors and closed windows makes a world of difference. Getting some blood pumping through my legs is really important. What
are some of those challenges of having a dog while doing the MBA program?
Yeah, I think it's there's a little bit of a restriction there as well. I have chosen to live in a house a distance away from campus, and so commuting can be a little bit tough. I also have to make sure that I plan my day in such a way that if Brooke can't go and let him out, I can let him out. And so there's a call back home that happens. And then I would say they're very endearing animals, but they do require attention, especially. And so he'll come and poke my arm to wrestle or to pet him or something. And I can ignore a few times, but eventually it's something I have to break my focus from my homework on to go and do as well. So those are some of the challenges that I've had.
Yeah, I think, Todd, you were mentioning with the food too, that first semester of the MBA kind of hits you hard with throwing off your schedule. Your normal eating routine goes out the window, and it takes a good semester, it seems like, for everyone to kind of adjust. But you were saying the intermittent fasting was big for you. Have you tried that out at all? Tried not eating breakfast?
It's rough. It's a rough start.
I have not tried that. So I'm on this diet plan that's just a 12-week step process, and I finished the first 3. I'm on the second 3 now, but the next 3 coming up are intermittent fasting, where I'm not supposed to eat for the first 5 hours of the day, I think it is. So I'm about to step into your shoes, but I'm nervous for the jump.
Yeah, it definitely takes an adjustment, and you have to stay true. It's if you can get through the first couple days, you can make it work. But
yeah.
It's I'd be lying to you if I said it was going to be easy. But you can do it.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried it out, but I'm not a fan. I don't know. I love breakfast too much.
It's best meal of the day. Ask Ron Swanson. He'll tell you all about it.
Yeah. Speaking of all the things that you're doing, you are I believe the co-president of the soccer club.
Yep.
How did you get involved with that? Have you guys been having any tournaments lately? How's that keeping you fit?
Yeah, so soccer is a huge part of my life, and I would even say part of my wellness, but I'll get into that in a second. Soccer was my way of connecting with people growing up, and especially in post-apartheid South Africa. It seemed to be a language that I could learn without needing to speak to anyone. And so I would walk into the park with a ball, and people from all different ages, all different backgrounds, socioeconomics, and all different races would come together to play this game. And we would use our shoes for goals in the park. And my grandparents always used to make fun of me on Dylan can go and have 20 guys playing soccer with him in 10 minutes. And so it's something I've carried with me as I came over to the US, which has been a little tougher because it's not as much of a soccer-loving country. Yeah. But had a lot of fun in undergrad, also coordinating weekly soccer pickup and stuff like that. So as soon as I heard about MBA Soccer Club, I jumped right at the opportunity. Applied to be a soccer club president, and it's been a lot of fun. We've had some pickup that's gone on Saturdays, which is just a great way to get out and spend some time with fellow MBAs and get to know some people. There are a couple of alumni who still come back and play with us as well. And then we'll be hosting the Winter Classic tournament, which is the 26th year that we're doing this tournament. And it brings the top 20 MBAs all together, top 20 MBA schools all together for this big competition where everyone plays to see pretty much who has the best team in the nation. And so it's going to be a ton of fun. There are going to be 750 students visiting from other top 20 MBAs. So huge networking opportunity, a little bit of fun rivalry that's present as well. And the planning is a monster, as you guys can imagine. But I'm having a lot of fun trying to visualize this and put it together, hoping to see a lot of people come together around the beautiful game.
And you guys play at Whitaker Field there, the intramural field?
Yeah, we play at the Whitaker Sports Complex, just a couple miles north of Rowling Hall.
Oh, that's going to be quite the tournament. You also had one in Los Angeles last semester, correct?
Yeah.
Is that similar?
Yeah, we went to LA last semester. That was kind of like the West Coast schools, and so Texas falls within that somehow. I still haven't figured that out as a foreigner, how Texas is considered a West Coast team. But yeah, so we went to play in that. We didn't make it out of the group stages. It's a brutal thing, man. It's 4 games on a Saturday is what we did.
Wow.
And by game 4, your legs are just jello. And so been working towards having my fitness up for this time. We won't be doing 4 games on Saturday. We'll just do 3. But I think we have a pretty star-studded lineup of McCombs teams, and so I'm hoping we can go pretty far.
That's awesome. Is there a place like people, if they want to go out and follow like the tournament, or if new MBA people want to go join the soccer club, where should they go?
Yeah, I would say probably the best thing is to text myself or Parker Redelman, Madeline. I'm sorry if I butcher your last name. Isako, I think is how to say it. Madeline Isako.
I have no clue.
I have no clue either.
Yeah.
I'd butcher it worse probably.
Reaching out to us is the best thing to do. We're working on hopefully something that we can do to platform the tournament a little bit better afterwards and show kind of the whole school what we did and how much fun we had. But right now, there's not really much of a platform for us to do that on. So just come and talk to us if you want to join.
Nice. Yeah, that's exciting. Good luck.
Thank you.
You were touching on how soccer's not just for your physical fitness. You said it affected your wellness overall.
Yeah.
How exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so Brooke and I talk about this a lot. I think as you become a busy adult, it's a lot harder to find time to be physically active. And so you could choose to do home workouts if that works for you. You could choose to have a pet that you take running with you. You could choose to do mountain biking. I just think that you need to choose something that you love, because that's what's really going to get you out, and you're going to choose to make time for that. My love is soccer and running around on a field with a bunch of other people. And so even though that happens once a week, or if there are intramurals, I'll play twice a week. It gets me out, it gets me active, and it gets me moving. Even in the middle of finals, I'll go and play when the toughest calendar comes about. And I just think everyone should be able to find that one thing that they love that gets them out and about, whatever it may be. And that's gonna really contribute to your overall wellness.
And as much as I'm terrible at soccer, so that's why I give it a hard time just personally, but I love how there's no barriers to entry. Like, you just need a ball. You can use shoes for goals. Even on campus, I've seen them use that little turf field. They get the little pop-up nets.
Yeah.
And there's always people playing. So it's such a great outlet for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That you can do.
For sure. It's the game of the people. I mean, when I was growing up, I think I've seen videos here of people maybe playing, like throwing a football in the street or something like that. For us, it was barefoot on the tar roads, using like shoes, and when a car would drive by, you quickly grab stuff and move it, and then you go back and keep playing, you know? There's a really low barrier to entry. If you go drive anywhere in Africa, you'll be able to find a field or just a plot of empty dirt where people play. There's this one spot right by my house in South Africa that is just a 100-meter spot of just sand and people play soccer there every single day. And so, yeah, very low barrier to entry. It's the game of the people, man.
I may have to try it out. I don't know. We'll see.
Come on out. We have people of all different levels at pickup. Some have just started playing because of soccer club and because it's a great way to get out. And some have been playing for years. But it's not a highly competitive environment at pickup. We're just there to have fun together.
Well, thank you for taking that leadership role, because even though I don't really partake yet, I know the whole MBA community really values it, and it brings a lot of people together. And it's just a good thing. If you're thinking about going to UT, it's another reason to go to UT.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about one more nutrition question.
Okay.
Then I don't know if Todd has any more, but what's your go-to meal during the week? Like something your staple that you if you are wondering like, oh, what should I eat this week? This is for sure. It's healthy. It's easy, and you're gonna do it.
Oh yeah, that one's easy. It's kind of like a taco bowl, and so what I'll do is I'll take ground turkey, black beans, green beans, some broccoli, and salsa, and throw it all together into a bowl. You got to make them separately, you know. Like I'll bake the green beans and broccoli, and then in a pot I'll throw together the ground turkey and the black beans. But it is delicious, topped with some HEB salsa. You don't get much better than that, and it's pretty quick, and you can make a lot really easily.
Wow, yeah. It's like no rice, like you use the veggies instead of rice. So
yeah, absolutely. Veggies instead of rice. I mean, I think beans are pretty chock full of carbs as well, so you're getting a lot from that depending on how many beans you choose to use. I love black beans, so I could do like a higher ratio of black beans to meat if I wanted to. Even though it's considered a protein, they're very, very full of carbs.
Awesome. Well, may have to try that out. Todd, you got any final thoughts?
No, it's been a pleasure having you on, Dylan. You always give amazing perspective, and it's been one of the pleasures of my experience in McCombs is getting to know you, and we joke around. It's something that I always think about that embodies you is thinking of Ted Lasso, the great Apple TV show that I bet a lot of our classmates have seen, but you think about that dart scene, and in which he's basically saying, be curious, not judgmental. And you've been someone that's, every time that you hear someone talk about you, you're always being curious and always taking the time to get to know people. And it's been great having you on the show here and giving people that don't know you an opportunity to hear just how much of a wonderful person you are. So we really appreciate the time you've given to us today.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really, really kind. And I'm glad I got to talk with you guys. I think this is a great idea.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Dylan. I hope to see a Ted Lasso mustache maybe in a few months.
If I can grow it, I'll do it.
But that's it for episode 2. See ya. Thank you for listening to the McCombs Wellness Collective podcast, where we record weekly episodes during the semester to promote healthy habits and learn about personal wellness journeys. Stay well, my friends, and hook 'em horns.